The signal from the dead zone. The space station floated in silence. Broken metal panels drifted like dead leaves around it. Inside, Captain Ray sat near a cracked control screen, his suit covered in dust, his face dark with exhaustion. The station had been attacked. It was once a research post on the edge of human space near Sector 9, a place no one dared to explore. Now it was just wreckage. The crew was gone, either dead or worse. Ray had tried every channel. No signal came back. The solar power was nearly empty. The food was finished 2 days ago, and still he waited. His fingers trembled as he touched a hidden panel under the desk. A panel no one was supposed to open. Behind it was a device, small, old, and glowing faint red. This was the Void Caller. An ancient machine built using tech found in alien ruins. Humans didn't understand how it worked. It was banned after it sent a signal into deep space, and something strange answered decades ago. But Ray had no other choice. He pressed the button. A deep hum filled the station. Lights flickered. The Void Caller released a high-pitched pulse like a scream only the stars could hear. And then, silence again. Ray sat back, heart pounding. He didn't know what he expected. Maybe nothing. Maybe the end. But 10 minutes later, the air grew hot. The temperature inside the broken station began to rise. Metal groaned. Red sparks appeared outside the main window. At first, Ray thought it was a fire. But no, this was not fire. This was something else. A shape appeared in the distance, falling fast from the sky. It was surrounded by burning energy, as if wrapped in flames. Ray stood up, eyes wide. "No way," he whispered. The shape hit the ground outside the station. The impact shook the floor. Systems flashed for a moment and died again. Ray grabbed his weapon and ran toward the airlock. When he reached it, he saw something walking through the dust. A tall figure, armored, glowing. It looked like a man made of fire. The figure stopped in front of the airlock door. It raised one hand. The fire around it shrank slowly, revealing dark armor with glowing orange lines across the chest and arms. A helmet covered its face. It didn't speak. Ray opened the door halfway, just enough to see it clearly. "Who are you?" Ray asked. The figure tilted its head. Its voice was deep, like thunder in a cave. "You called," it said slowly. "So I came." Ray took a step back. "You understood my signal?" "The signal is old. From before your kind. It is a warrior's call. Only the dying use it." Ray blinked. "Are you here to help?" The figure didn't answer. It looked around, scanning the broken hallway behind Ray. "You are the last," it said. "Last of what?" "Of your crew. Of this station. Perhaps of your kind." Suddenly, the figure raised its arm. Fire blazed around it. Ray jumped back, heart racing. But the fire didn't touch him. It flowed past him, over the walls, sealing broken cracks, and burning away leaking gas. Ray stared. "How are you doing that?" "I am Karoth," the warrior said. "Of the Fireborn Order. Long ago we answered calls of flame, but your kind stopped calling. Until now." Ray lowered his weapon, confused. "What do you want?" Karoth looked at the stars through the broken window. "Your signal woke something else too. Something older, darker." "What?" Karoth turned to him slowly. "The Void Swarm. If they heard the call, they will come, and they will burn everything." Ray felt cold despite the heat. "I didn't mean to. I just needed help." "Then help you shall have," Karoth said. "But not the kind you expect." Suddenly, the ground shook again. Karoth looked toward the north side of the station. "They are near," he said. "Too near." "Who?" Karoth turned to Ray and pointed at him with one burning hand. "Prepare yourself, human. You called. Now you burn or fight." Before Ray could respond, alarms inside the broken control room flashed to life for the first time in days. Something was coming. Fast. From deep space. And it was not friendly. Ray looked at the fire warrior. His voice cracked. Then show me how to fight. The warrior's warning. The flames outside the space station had died down, but inside, Captain Ray felt like a new fire had just begun. He stood beside the warrior, Karoth, still unsure if this was a rescue or the start of something worse. The alarms echoed again. Red lights flashed along the broken walls. Karoth said nothing. He stared out into the dark sky as if watching something Ray couldn't see yet. What's coming? Ray asked, his voice shaking. Karoth turned slowly, his armor glowing like burning coals. You called with fire. Now the swarm smells it. They come. The swarm? Ray asked, confused. What swarm? Karoth didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached behind his back and pulled out a strange weapon. It looked like a sword, but its blade flickered like it was made of living flame. He held it in silence, then pointed to the stars. There was once peace, Karoth said, many stars ago. Humans and Flameborn fought side by side. But peace is weak when built on fear. Your kind forgot. Now the Void Swarm returns. I don't understand, Ray said. I was just trying to stay alive. Karoth nodded. Yes, survival is where the war always begins. Outside, the sky shimmered. Something broke through the darkness, fast, silver, and sharp like a spear thrown by a god. Ray ran to the window. Is that a ship? Karoth's voice turned hard. No, that is a hunter. One of the first. It's heading right for us. Then we must leave. Karoth stepped forward and slammed, his hand onto the ground. A circle of flame opened beneath him. Fire twisted upward, becoming a swirling gate of burning light. Step through, he said. Your death lies behind you. Your test lies ahead. Ray hesitated. The last time he stepped through a strange doorway, it led to a dead station and a dead crew. But this time he had no choice. He took a breath and walked through the flames. The world flipped. They landed hard on a rocky world covered in black sand and glowing red rivers. The sky was dark purple. The air smelled like ash. Huge stone towers, broken and fallen, stuck out from the ground like old bones. Where are we? Ray asked. The world of trials, Karoth answered. This is where fireborn are made. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A loud screech echoed through the sky. From a mountain ahead, something began to move. A shadow with wings. Its eyes burned red. Its skin was dark like oil, and its mouth held rows of sharp, bone-white teeth. What is that? Ray whispered. Karoth lifted his flame sword. A memory. From the last war. Now, your first lesson. The creature roared and charged. Ray stepped back in panic. He had no weapon, no armor, no idea what to do. Karoth, I'm not a warrior. Not yet, Karoth said. But you have the spark. Karoth tossed something to him, a small ring with a red stone. What is this? Put it on. Ray slipped the ring onto his finger. Heat flowed through his body. His skin began to glow. Fire danced around his hands, but it didn't burn. It felt alive. Now fight, Karoth growled. The creature leaped toward them. Karoth attacked first. His sword cut through the air with a wave of fire. The beast screamed as flame burned across its side. Ray raised his hand, and fire shot out in a line, hitting the ground in front of the monster. The creature stopped. It looked at Ray. Something in its face changed. Fear. You see? Karoth said. You are fireborn. But the moment of calm ended. 2 more creatures appeared. Then 4. Then 6. They're multiplying, Ray shouted. Karoth growled. They are not real beasts. They are made from fear, memory, and flame. They feed on your doubt. Then I'm in trouble. Karoth smiled for the first time. Then stopped doubting. The 2 fought side by side. Karoth moved like fire given shape, cutting through, the monsters with power and precision. Ray's fire blasts grew stronger, his aim sharper. Each time he believed, the flame grew hotter. After the battle, they stood on the ashes of their enemies. Ray's chest burned with power, sweat covered his face, but he smiled. I didn't die. Karoth nodded. No, you lived. Ray looked around. Was this a test? A lesson? Your power is tied to your belief. The more you believe, the stronger the fire becomes. But beware. The void also hears your belief, and it will twist it. Ray frowned. What do you mean? Karoth looked up. The sky cracked open again. This time, not with a hunter, but with something far larger. The Void Queen has seen you, Karoth whispered, and she does not want you dead. She wants you changed. Ray felt the fire on his hands cool into fear again. The fireborn legacy, the crack in the sky above the ash world, pulsed with a dark light almost like a wound. From it, a cold wind blew down, and with it came a whisper, soft but strong enough to make Ray's knees shake. You are not ready. Ray looked up, his heart beating fast. Something unseen watched him, something ancient and clever. Karoth stepped forward and threw a flaming spear into the sky. The darkness closed. The crack sealed. What was that? Ray asked, still breathing hard. A shadow of the Queen, Karoth replied. She watches from the space between stars. You must learn faster. We have no time. Ray felt fear twist in his chest. He wasn't a soldier. He was a pilot, a technician. How could he fight a queen that lived in space itself? I told you, I'm not a warrior. Karoth turned toward him and spoke softly for the first time. You are more than warrior, Ray. You are fireborn. And it is time you know what that means. They walked across the black desert, deeper into the ruins of an ancient alien city. The ground was cracked, full of old bones and broken machines. Strange carvings glowed on the stone walls. Fire symbols, stars, and human figures, though they looked older than any history Ray knew. How is this possible? Ray asked. These look like humans. They are, Karoth said. Thousands of years ago, before Earth had cities, some of your kind were taken, trained, changed. Ray frowned. By who? Karoth didn't answer directly. He pointed to a large doorway made of crystal and ash. It opened as they approached. Inside, torches lit themselves along the wall. At the center was a large table made of fireglass. Karoth placed his hand on it. Light spread across the surface, forming a 3D image. It showed Earth, and then a spiral of flames moving outward to the stars. You are a descendant of the first fireborn, Karoth explained. Your ancestors once stood beside us, protecting galaxies from the void swarm. Until the betrayal. Ray listened closely. Humans grew afraid, Karoth said. Your leaders wanted to control fire, not share it. They broke the pact, destroyed the gateways, and tried to erase history. And now? Ray asked. Now, the void returns, and only a true fireborn can awaken the last weapons. Me? Yes, but not alone. A sound came from the doorway. Footsteps. Ray turned quickly, hand glowing. Karoth stepped in front of him with his sword raised. From the shadows walked a girl, young, pale skin, silver eyes, short white hair tied behind her head. Her clothes were torn and dusty. She looked like she had been hiding here for years. Don't shoot, she said in a quiet voice. I'm not your enemy. Karoth narrowed his eyes. Name yourself. Nyla, she said. I was born here. Or close to here. Ray stepped closer. You're human? Nyla shook her head. Not fully. As she stepped into the firelight, Ray saw it. Her veins glowed with dark blue light, not red. Her movements were graceful but strange. Not fully human, not fully alien. What are you? Ray asked. The result of a project your people abandoned, Nyla said. I was created by human scientists and void engineers. They wanted to make a weapon. Instead, they made me. Ray looked at Karoth, who remained silent. They said I'd bring balance, fire and void in one. But when I was a child, they tried to kill me, said I was too dangerous. Nyla walked to the fireglass table. She placed her hand on it. Instead of flame, Cold blue light spread across the image. Earth turned dark. Its cities vanished. Only a single light remained, a small point deep underground. "What is that?" Ray asked. "The forge," Nyla said. "The last fireborn forge, hidden by your ancestors before they were wiped out. Only someone with fire in their blood can enter it." Ray stared at the point. Something inside him stirred. A memory. No, not his. Something passed down through blood. Karoth placed a hand on his shoulder. "That is your next step," he said. "But the void swarm is moving. If they reach Earth first, your people will have no chance." Ray nodded slowly. "Then let's go." Outside the ruins, the ground shook again. This time it was different. A sound echoed like a siren through the sky. Karoth stepped outside and froze. "They found us," he said. Ray ran after him. From the horizon, black ships tore through the air, silent, fast, and covered in shifting armor. They didn't look like anything human. They weren't machines. They were alive. "Get to cover," Karoth shouted. Nyla raised both hands. A wave of blue energy spread from her, forming a shield just in time as a beam of red light blasted toward them. The ground exploded behind them. Flames and smoke rose high. "Run to the tunnel!" Karoth yelled. They ran through falling debris. Ray stumbled but kept going. Nyla pushed him forward with a burst of energy. As they entered the tunnel beneath the ruins, Karoth used his sword to seal the entrance behind them. Everything went silent. Only the sound of Ray's heartbeat remained. Deep, underground, in the tunnels that led to the forge, Karoth finally spoke again. "This is not just a battle. This is the rebirth of your kind, Ray. The forge will either burn you to ash or make you into a true fireborn." Ray looked ahead at the glowing path. He was no longer just running from death. He was walking toward his legacy. Battle on the ash planet. The tunnel beneath the ruins was narrow and deep. Each step echoed with a strange hum like whispers trapped in the stone. Ray walked between Karoth and Nyla, his thoughts heavy. He could feel something pulling him forward, something ancient deep under the ground. "How far is the forge?" Ray asked quietly. "Not far," Karoth replied. "But the path is not safe." Nyla added, "This place is alive. It remembers everything. Even the pain." The path opened into a vast cavern. High above them, the ceiling glowed with red fire runes that moved like slow stars. Rivers of lava flowed below metal bridges. In the center was a large stone platform, and at its heart in the forge it didn't look like a machine, it looked like a throne made of fire and bones, sharp and twisted, breathing slowly like it was alive. "What is it?" Ray whispered. Karoth stepped forward. "The forge is part of the first Flameborn. It shapes the fire within. But only those who carry the true spark can touch it." Ray looked at his hands. He could feel warmth there. But was it enough? Suddenly the fire runes above them turned black. Nyla gasped. "They're here!" A loud screech rang through the cavern. From the darkness above, black creatures began to crawl down the walls. They had long claws, thin wings, and skin that moved like smoke. Their eyes glowed violet. "Voidlings," Karoth growled. "They come before the queen. They will not let you reach the forge." Ray backed away. "There's too many." "No," Karoth said. "There's just enough." He jumped forward, fire sword raised high. Flames burst from the blade, cutting through the first wave of voidlings. Their screams echoed through the cavern. Nyla lifted both hands and a shock wave of cold blue light threw a dozen creatures off the walls. She turned to Ray. "You must reach the forge. I can't leave you." "Go," she shouted. "You're the only one who can activate it." Ray nodded and ran across the bridge, dodging blasts of dark energy as voidlings screamed past him. He jumped over broken rocks, slid under falling debris, and climbed the last set of steps to the forge. He placed one hand on it. Nothing. The forge remained still. Dead. Cold. "Come on," he whispered. "Please." Behind him, Karoth was losing ground. Flames weakened. Nyla screamed in pain as a voidling clawed her shoulder. Ray looked back. He saw blood. He saw fire. He saw the people risking everything to give him this chance. He closed his eyes and remembered his crew, his brother, his lonely calls into the void, his pain, his hope. He shouted, and the fire answered. The forge exploded with light. A pulse of flame burst out, shaking the cavern. The voidlings screamed and turned to ash. The lava turned golden. The entire cavern lit up with burning symbols. Ray stood on the forge platform, now wrapped in glowing armor made of gold and fire. His eyes shone like twin suns. Karoth smiled through blood. "You are ready." Ray leapt down from the platform, fire bursting from his hands. He raised both arms and created a wall of flame that shielded Nyla and Karoth. Then he turned and launched a burning wave at the last swarm of voidlings. They didn't even scream. They simply turned to dust. The cavern fell silent. Karoth limped toward him. "You are now flameborn, not just by blood, but by choice." Ray helped. Nyla to her feet. She looked at him, eyes wide. "You changed," she whispered. Ray nodded. So did everything else. As they exited the forge chamber, the sky above the planet was no longer dark. It was red, burning. Huge black ships filled the sky. The Void Queen had arrived. Karoth stared at the ships. "She moves faster than we feared. Then we move." "Too," Ray said. He looked at Nyla. "Can you open a gate?" She nodded. "To where?" Ray stared at the sky, full of fire and death. "Earth." They opened a gate of flame and void combined, red and blue spinning in a perfect circle. They stepped through and arrived above Earth's orbit. What they saw made them stop. Earth was under attack. Void swarm ships rained dark energy over major cities. Buildings burned. Communication towers were gone. Military bases were falling. And the people were helpless. "We're too late," Ray whispered. "No," Karoth said. "This is the right time. Now they will believe." Ray raised his hand and called his fire. Karoth placed a flame crystal in his palm. "A beacon. Send the call," he said. "Let every hidden fireborn feel it." Ray nodded. The moment his fire touched the crystal, a wave of light exploded across Earth. In secret places, old warriors awoke. Hidden bloodlines burned again. People who had forgotten their strength remembered. They all looked to the sky and saw him, Ray, the new flameborn. On the ground, a child in a shelter pointed at the sky. "Mom, look, the fireman." "He came across cities," resistance fighters shouted. "It's him! The signal worked!" Karoth smiled. "Now comes the real war." The Void Queen's offer. The skies over Earth burned red. Cities crumbled under shadow. Ships of the Void swarm circled like vultures. In the heart of this chaos, Captain Ray floated in orbit, armored, in fire, his eyes blazing with golden light. Beside him were Karoth and Nyla, both scarred but standing. But even with his power awakened, Ray felt something wrong. Like the battle hadn't truly begun. A strange coldness crept into his thoughts. Something whispered, not in his ears but inside his mind. "Come to me, Fireborn." Ray staggered back. "Did you hear that?" Karoth turned sharply. "No." Nyla narrowed her eyes. "She's inside you." Before Ray could ask, the world around him shifted. Everything turned black. He stood alone in a silent place. No stars, no gravity, just endless darkness. Then, light, soft and golden. A figure appeared from the shadows. A woman, tall, graceful, eyes like liquid silver. Her skin glowed faint blue. A crown of darkness floated above her head like smoke. She looked human, but not. Ray stepped back. "You're the Void Queen." She smiled, her voice calm and warm. "Do not be afraid. I only came to talk." Ray raised his fire. "You're killing billions." She tilted her head. "Because your kind never learns. They repeat their mistakes, again and again. I offered peace, long ago. Your ancestors chose fear." Ray's jaw clenched. So now you burn the whole planet? No, she said, stepping closer. I offer again. Through you. He stared at her in confusion. You are a bridge, she said, fireborn and human. Your spark connects what was once broken. Come with me, join me, and no more will die. Ray shook his head. You expect me to betray my people? They already betrayed you, she said softly. Remember your crew? Your brother? The station you were left to die on, all because you questioned orders. Pain flickered across Ray's face. The Queen stepped closer. They used you. I offer truth. Power. A place at my side. Not as servant, but as heir. Ray felt a strange warmth. Not fire, but something softer. Like sleep. Like forgetting. For a moment he wanted to say yes. But then, he saw their faces. Karoth. Nyla. The child pointing to the sky. Hope. Ray stepped back and raised his fire. You made a mistake. You showed me what you fear. It's not death, it's resistance. The Void Queen's eyes flared with cold rage. Her voice echoed across the darkness. So be it. Ray's eyes opened. He was back. Nyla was shaking him. You were gone for a minute. She came to me, he whispered. In my head. She offered peace. If I joined her. Karoth placed a hand on his shoulder. She's desperate. Or overconfident, Ray said, standing taller. He turned toward Earth. No more talk. The battle began. Fire and void collided in the skies. Across cities, new fireborn warriors emerged. Humans who had long hidden their legacy. Old men and young women, farmers and soldiers. Each one glowing with the flame. Ray led them. He flew through enemy ships, cutting through void armor with fire. Nyla supported from below, her void energy forming shields and waves that disrupted the swarm. Karoth fought on the ground, leading civilians to safety, turning ruins into traps for the invaders. The tide was turning, but then the Queen came. Her ship descended from orbit, larger than mountains, black as a moonless night. It blocked out the sun. At its core, a glowing eye opened. A beam of dark light shot out, cutting through the earth like a sword. Whole cities fell silent. She's targeting the Forge's signal, Karoth shouted. She wants to destroy the source of your fire. Ray flew toward the ship alone. You can't do this alone, Nyla called. He turned. I have to. If she kills the fire, it's over. He soared into the darkness. Inside the ship, he found her. No guards, just the Queen, waiting. You chose poorly, she said. You chose fear, Ray replied. She raised her hand. The final battle began. They fought in silence, flame against void. Every blast of fire was matched by dark energy. Walls melted, time bent. The ship screamed. Ray felt his power fading. The Queen stepped forward, her crown now glowing like a dying star. You cannot kill me. I am part of the universe. Even your fire cannot burn emptiness. Ray knelt, almost broken. But then, Nyla's voice echoed in his head. You are fireborn, but you are also human. Ray stood, battered, bloody, breathing hard, and he smiled. You're right. I can't destroy you alone. He pulled out the fire crystal. The first one Karoth gave him. But this one was different. It had Nyla's void energy inside it too. Combined. He crushed it. The explosion shook the ship. The Queen screamed. Her body turning to light and shadow. Her crown cracked. What have you done? Made a new fire, Ray said. A fusion. A balance. Not just flame. Not just void. Something new. The Queen vanished. Her ship broke apart. The sky cleared. On Earth, the swarm fell like dust. People cried, cheered, shouted his name. But Ray did not. Return right away. He had one more place to go. He stood with Karoth and Nyla on a hill, watching the sun rise over a saved Earth. It's over, Nyla whispered. Karoth smiled. No, it's just beginning. Ray nodded. We need to rebuild. Not just cities, but the truth. He looked to the stars. We called into the void, and fire answered. Now, we answer back. Earth under siege, the fire had calmed. The Gyu skies were blue once more. Cities, though damaged, stood tall with hope. People smiled again, thinking the worst was over. But the war was not finished. It was only resting. Beneath the surface of the earth, something darker had awakened. 3. Days after the Queen's fall, Ray sat at a broken radio tower outside what used to be Washington, D.C. Beside him stood Nyla and Karoth. Emergency teams moved through rubble, helping survivors. Flames no longer came from the sky, but smoke still rose from cities hit hardest. They think it's over, Ray said quietly. Hope makes people blind, Karoth replied. And the void, it is never finished. Nyla's hand glowed faint blue. She was listening again. The swarm is rebuilding. Under the earth, she whispered. I hear them moving. They're nesting. Ray looked toward the mountains. How long do we have? Hours, she said. Karoth drew his sword. Then we finish this. Underground. 500 miles beneath Nevada, a cavern the size of a small planet stretched endlessly. Inside it, billions of voidlings crawled across the walls, ceiling, and ground like insects. They weren't wild anymore. They were organized. At the center sat something new. It was not the Queen. It was her seed. A child, made of darkness and data. Half-born. Whispers echoed through the walls. We are many. And we are one. On the surface, War Council Ray stood before the world's last generals. Most of them doubted him still. You want us to attack the Earth's core? One general scoffed. We should rebuild, not dig holes. Ray slammed his hand on the table. Fire danced on his fingers. This isn't a theory. I saw them. I heard the Queen's death scream. She wasn't ending something. She was birthing something worse. Karoth stepped forward. Your weapons are useless against this. Only Flameborn can reach the nest and destroy it. The room went silent. An older woman, a retired commander, stood up. Give them what they need. Operation Firefall began. All across Earth, Flameborn warriors gathered. Some came from hidden tribes. Some were soldiers who never knew their blood burned until now. Even civilians arrived. Teenagers, teachers, farmers. They were ready. They were few, but they were fireborn. Ray led them into the depths of the earth, traveling through molten tunnels and echoing caves. Their lights flickered as the void swarm stirred. At 1,000 feet, a swarm of watchers attacked. They moved like liquid shadows, merging into each other, screaming without mouths. The battle was brutal. Nyla fought using her dual nature, sending pulses of void to confuse the enemy while Ray's flame finished them. Karoth stood tall, fighting with calm fury, protecting the young. Deeper. They reached the nesting chamber. At the center stood the void seed, a childlike being, dark skin, glowing eyes, floating in a glass cocoon made of shadow. As they stepped close, it opened its eyes and smiled. I know you, Ray, it said with an innocent voice. You killed my mother. Ray stared. It looked human, like a small boy. You're not real, Ray said. I am what's next, the seed said. You can't burn me. I am not fire. I am memory. I am future. The walls pulsed. Thousands of voidlings poured in. Final. Battle Ray and the Flameborn formed a circle around the void seed. The swarm closed in from all sides. Karoth raised his sword and yelled, Fire is not destruction. It is rebirth, he charged, taking down dozens in seconds, his armor cracking. Nyla raised both arms, creating a blue dome of energy to hold back the swarm. Ray walked toward the seed. It laughed. You won't kill me. You see yourself in me. I do, Ray said softly. That's why I'm ending this. He held up the final flame crystal, a fusion of fire, void, and earth core energy. He had crafted it in secret. He placed it on the seed's cocoon. The child's smile faded. "You don't have to do this," it said. "Yes," Ray said, voice steady. "I do." The explosion rocked the planet, but not in destruction. The energy wave turned every voidling to ash, not just in the cavern, but everywhere. Even those hiding in orbit. The Queen's legacy, gone. Aftermath Ray opened his eyes. He was lying in the crater of the chamber. Karoth was on one knee. Armor broken but alive. Nyla stood over them, blue energy dimming. "You did it," she said. Ray sat up slowly. "We did it." Karoth smiled. "Earth is free." They walked out of the cavern together. Sunlight hit their faces. People cheered. Across the world, the war was over, but a new chapter was beginning. On a hill 1 week later, Ray looked to the stars with Karoth and Nyla. "There are others like us," he said. "Other fireborn across the galaxy. Forgotten. Waiting." Nyla nodded. "They'll hear your story." Karoth grinned. "You sent a signal into the void." And the galaxy answered. "Now you must lead them." Ray turned, face lit by the rising sun. This is no longer just Earth's fight. This is the beginning of a flame-born empire. He who answered the call, the world had changed. The war was over, but its ashes still drifted through the sky. Cities were quiet, not because they were empty, but because people were still holding their breath, waiting to see if peace would stay. Deep in a mountain temple built by fireborn survivors, Ray stood before a wide mirror of flame. Behind him stood Karoth, wounded but proud. Beside him stood Nyla, her silver eyes scanning the stars. "They're watching," Nyla said. "Who?" Ray asked. "Everyone. Across the galaxy, worlds where no human foot had stepped lit up with golden sparks. Beacons hidden for thousands of years awoke. Holograms projected the moment Ray activated the forge. On distant planets, ancient flame-born tribes who had gone into hiding felt the shift. In temples built into meteors, in caves beneath gas oceans, even inside broken space stations forgotten by time, they all heard the story. A human called into the void, and fire answered. Now the galaxy calls him sovereign. Earth. The coronation, a strange word for someone like Ray. He had never wanted power. He had only wanted to survive. But now, people from every corner of Earth, leaders, survivors, flameborn, and hybrids, stood around him. They weren't crowning a king. They were lighting a guide. Karoth stepped forward and handed him an ancient fire staff, one only ever held by flameborn leaders. "Today," he said, "you become more than a warrior. You become the voice of flame, the fire that unites." Ray took it. The staff lit on its own. Warm, not hot, alive. Nyla stepped beside him and whispered, "Look." Above the sky, portals opened. One by one, ships of fire and light appeared. Some shaped like dragons, some like massive floating ruins. Each carried warriors. Flameborn from across the stars, they came not to invade but to join. But peace never comes easy. That night, a secret message was delivered to Ray's temple. Nyla read it aloud. "There's another void nest. Not on Earth, but near Saturn. Small. Hidden. Breathing." Karoth grunted. "Of course." The Queen left seeds behind. Ray's hand tightened around the staff. "Then we remove the roots before they grow." The final mission. Ray gathered a small team. He didn't take the army, he took only the strongest: Nyla, Karoth, 3 flameborn from other worlds, 1 hybrid child who had learned to manipulate void and fire together. They flew in silence toward Saturn's orbit in a ship powered by forge fire. What they found was worse than expected. Not a seed, a gate, black, massive, alive. "This is not a nest," Nyla said. "This is a door and it's opening." Karoth raised his sword. "Then we close it with fire." The true enemy revealed as they neared the gate. It opened wide, but it did not unleash monsters. It unleashed memory. Ray saw visions of Earth's past, humans betraying the Flameborn, secret deals made by ancient governments, broken pacts, hidden wars. The gate fed on guilt. His team began to weaken. Nyla dropped to her knees. "They're showing us our worst moments," Karoth growled, struggling to stand. "This is not power, it is poison." Ray realized the truth. The void does not win by force. It wins by breaking your will. He stood tall, closed his eyes and whispered, "I am not perfect. I have failed. I have run. But I stood back up." The flame within him burst. It was not angry. It was not loud. It was calm. Pure. Real. The gate screamed. Ray stepped forward and placed the fire staff into its heart. "Your lies end here." The gate burned from inside, not with destruction but with light, the truth. Aftermath as the fire spread through the gate. It didn't kill. It healed. The ancient Flameborn spirits trapped inside were freed. The darkness that had infected them faded. The gate closed forever. Nyla stood beside Ray, blinking back tears. "You didn't destroy it. You redeemed it." Ray smiled faintly. "Some things are worth saving." Years later, Earth had become a beacon world. Flameborn academies were built. Hybrids were protected, trained, and honored. The Fireborn Empire stretched not through weapons but through wisdom. Ray sat beneath a tree growing from the ashes of the last battle. Beside him was a child, one of the orphans from the Void War. "Is it true?" the child asked. "That you once called into space and didn't think anyone would answer?" Ray nodded. "I called into the void and I was answered. Not just by fire, but by all of you." The child smiled. "Will you tell the story again?" Ray chuckled. "Not tonight, but you will. Someday. Because now, it belongs to you." He looked at the stars, burning not with danger, but with invitation. The fire had not ended. It had only just begun.